When I was young, I went to California to search for gold. I didn't find enough to make me rich, but I found something else. A beautiful part of the country called the Stanislaus. The Stanislaus was like heaven on earth. The hills were bright green, and the forests were full of tall trees that swayed gently in the breeze. Many years before I arrived, other people had come to the Stanislaus, also looking for gold. They had built a small town in the valley. It had sidewalks, stores, banks, and schools. The families who lived there had even built pretty little houses for themselves. At first, the people found a lot of gold in the hills around the Stanislaus, but the gold didn't last. After a few years, it was all gone. By the time I arrived, the people had left too. Now, grass grew in the streets, and wild rose bushes covered the little houses. The town was silent except for the buzzing of insects. As I walked through it on that warm summer day, I thought I was completely alone. But then I realized I wasn't. I saw a man standing in front of one of the small houses. He was smiling at me. His house looked different from the others. It wasn't covered in wild roses. Instead, it had a neat little garden in front, full of blue and yellow flowers. White curtains hung in the windows, gently moving with the summer breeze. The man waved at me to come inside. I followed him, curious about this man and his home. When I stepped inside, I was amazed. For weeks, I had been living in rough mining camps with other gold miners. We slept on the hard ground, ate beans from tin cans, and spent all day digging and searching for gold. This house felt completely different. It was clean and cozy. The wooden floor shone, and a colorful rug lay in the center of the room. Pictures hung on the walls, and small tables held seashells, books, and flower-filled vases. Everything in the room showed care and love. It felt like a real home, a place full of life and beauty. The man must have seen the happiness on my face. He smiled and said, "Yes, it's all her work. Everything you see here has felt the touch of her hand." I noticed a picture on the wall that wasn't hanging quite straight. The man saw it too and went to fix it. He stepped back a few times to make sure it was perfectly straight. Then he gave it a gentle pat. "She always does that," he said with a warm smile. "It's like when a mother pats her child's hair after brushing it." I've seen her fix these little things so many times that now I do it too. I don't know why. I just do. As he spoke, I had a feeling that there was something special in this room he wanted me to notice. I looked around carefully. My eyes stopped at a small black shelf near the fireplace. When he saw where I was looking, His face lit up. "That's it!" he said with excitement. "You found it. I knew you would." On the shelf was a small picture of a woman. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Her face was kind, and her expression was soft and full of warmth. The man picked up the picture and held it carefully. She was 19 years old on her last birthday. He said, "That was the day we got married. When you meet her, you'll see. She's even more beautiful in person." "Where is she now?" I asked. "She's away visiting her parents," he said with a sigh. "They live about 40 or 50 miles from here. She's been gone for 2 weeks now." "When will she be back?" I asked. He thought for a moment. "Today is Wednesday," he said slowly. "She'll be back on Saturday evening." I felt a little sad. "That's too bad," I said. "I'll be gone by then." "No, don't go," he said, looking upset. "She'll be so disappointed. She loves it when people come and stay with us." I looked at the picture again. Something about it made me change my mind. "All right," I said. "I'll stay." The man's name was Henry. That night, we talked about many things, but mostly about his wife. He told me stories about her and how she had made their home so wonderful. The next day passed quietly. On Thursday evening, an old miner named Tom came to visit. "I just came to ask. Any news about her?" he asked. "Yes," Henry said, smiling brightly. He pulled a yellowed letter from his shirt pocket. "She wrote to me." He read the letter out loud. It was full of loving messages for him and kind words for their neighbors and friends. When Henry finished reading, Tom wiped his eyes. "Ah, you're crying again," Henry teased. "You always cry when I read her letters. This time, I'm going to tell her." "No, please don't," Tom said. "I'm getting old. It's just that even small things make me emotional now. I was really hoping to see her tonight." On Friday, another old miner came to visit. He, too, asked to hear the letter. When Henry read it, the old man also cried. "We all miss her so much," he said. Finally, Saturday came. I found myself checking my watch often. Henry noticed and asked nervously, "You don't think something has happened to her, do you?" "No," I said with a reassuring smile. "I'm sure she's fine." As the sun began to set, Tom and another miner named Joe arrived. They brought guitars, flowers, and a bottle of whiskey. They put the flowers in vases and played cheerful songs on their guitars. They also kept giving Henry glasses of whiskey, making sure he drank them all. When I reached for a glass, Tom stopped me. "Take the other one," he whispered. At midnight, Henry drank his last glass. He suddenly looked very pale. "I'm feeling sick," he said. "I need to lie down." The two miners carried him to his bedroom and gently put him to bed. When they came back, they looked like they were about to leave. "Please stay," I said. "She won't know me. I'm just a stranger." The men looked at each other. Finally, Tom said quietly, "His wife has been dead for 19 years. "What?" I asked, shocked. Tom nodded sadly. "She went to visit her parents about 6 months after they got married. On her way back, the Indians captured her. No one ever saw her again." Henry lost his mind. Every June, he believes she's visiting her parents and will come back. He reads that old letter and waits for her. On Saturday night, we come to help. We put sleeping medicine in his drink so he can sleep through the night. By morning, he's better for another year. Joe spoke softly. "We've done this for 19 years. There used to be 27 of us, but now it's just the two of us left." They picked up their guitars and hats, opened the door, and disappeared into the dark night. I stood there, alone in the little house, thinking of Henry and his endless hope.